Hello and welcome to the Swiss Connection. I'm Susan Masika. Country music probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Switzerland. However, the Alpine nation is home to a small but passionate country music scene.
The American way of life, especially in the countryside, is something that inspires a lot of Swiss people because we're sort of very limited in space here. And so it's this dream that many people have about going out, riding on a highway, listening to this music that sort of conveys this freedom.
In this episode, Swiss Info journalist Thomas Stevens speaks to two of Switzerland's up-and-coming country music stars, Florian Roth and Jessica Wetzel, better known to their fans as Flo and Jessie. They talk about how they got bitten by the country bug, how you know when two voices are a perfect match, and whether they would ever move to the capital of country, Nashville. And of course, there's plenty of music.
Stand by my side in times of trial. Take my hand. Oh Lord, show me the way where the guidance help me not to go astray. Where the guidance help me not to go astray.
That was an excerpt from Ships, one of the 6 tracks on the new EP by Flo and Jessie with the Black Barons. Listening to that album, more of which later, it's hard to believe that Flo and Jessie are both from Zurich and are both a lot younger than they sound. Indeed, on the day we all met in Zurich, Flo was celebrating his 28th birthday, happily pointing out that he wouldn't be joining the 27 Club, a collection of musicians who died aged 27, such as Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. As we'll discover, country music is very much alive in Switzerland, which hosts one of the biggest country festivals in the world. Flo and Jessie's musical tastes were both influenced by their parents' record collections. But Flo's true country music epiphany couldn't get much more American. He saw the light at a motel on Route 66.
It wasn't until 2007 when we travelled through the US for 2 weeks, and there I got into contact with country music. I bought my first record there in Albuquerque, and we stayed at the motel there, out in the desert, and there was a small library of videos, and there was a lot of cultural videos, and none of them really attracted me. I was 15, and the only video that truly got my attention was the video that I'd already seen 2 years earlier, which was Walk the Line. I put it in the DVD player and watched the movie, and then I went with a recording device, with a video recorder, went to the speaker of the TV, and because I liked that music so much, so I recorded it and listened to nothing else for the next 2 weeks, traveling through the US, and so that was sort of how the spark went over to me. And when I came back to Switzerland, that's all I wanted to play.
Walk the Line was a hit written and recorded in 1956 by Johnny Cash, one of Flo's heroes, and also the name of a 2005 biographical film about the Man in Black. Like Flo, Jessie learnt the guitar from a young age, and says her musical inspirations include Emmylou Harris, Linda Ronstadt and Dolly Parton. She has an exotic musical background, having sung in a gospel choir and played in folk bands in Ireland, where she went on a 3-month language course before fate intervened.
I spent 2 entire weeks at school until I met a couple of Irish musicians on a bus. They invited me to join them to play a private party. Soon after, I had run out of money, so they offered to let me play first on streets and later on club and pub tours in several towns throughout Ireland. Great time.
From the streets of Ireland to the streets of Nashville, Tennessee. Flo and Jessie are planning a trip to Nashville this autumn, where they hope to do some recording, take in a few shows at the Grand Ole Opry Auditorium, Country Music's spiritual home, and also put on some shows for passers-by.
I think that's a good start, right? Because I think as Swiss musicians, you don't have that bad chances to get through in Nashville, because you're sort of there's loads of American musicians there already, but the Swiss sort of have a kind of special reputation, very dedicated, very versatile. So we're very much looking forward to that adventure, yeah.
So, the big question, how did they meet? It all goes back to a country-themed cruise around the Mediterranean 2 years ago, where Flo was on stage and Jessie was in the audience.
Flo played there with his band, the Black Barons, and after the concert we started talking and play a few chords on deck together. And so we find out that our voices matched perfectly.
Her voice has got something truly unique, and I think that's why it flashed me so much on that deck on board the ship of the country music cruise. Because it's got something, it really conveys this true country spirit. I've sung with quite a few female vocalists. Some were into jazz style, other into pop style. When I met her, she didn't have a trained voice, but it was just natural and something you can't fake, and that's what makes it so absolutely special. Because if you listen to it, you sort of hear the wild Montana skies. You can virtually picture the Nevada valleys, and that's what really took me in. And what I could add is, I think what makes Jessie a very special songwriter is she wrote one of the most beautiful songs on the EP, which is called Lights, which I still adore today, and I can listen to this every day. And it's got little text, and it's a rather simple text, but it's really touching, and I think that's what makes the difference with a song. It doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be high-standing English, and that's what she can do really well, because she truly feels the music. She can bring that to the audience. That's what I love about the songs that she writes.
Let's picture the Nevada valleys and listen to an excerpt from Lights.
One more night, the stars shine bright. The lonesome moon will rise. He's gone, and the morning sun left me all alone.
I long to lay me down again and hold you in my arms. But other voices beckon you, and tears begin to come, and slowly turn away from me. The night is nearly gone. She's left me with no words of farewell. The lights will shine down on me.
Well, we've heard what Flo thinks of Jessie's voice. What does she think of his?
I love his voice. He can sing very soft and also very strong. And our voices match perfect because my voice is not as high. So Flo had a little bit a deeper voice. I think it's baritone. So I don't have to sing the high notes. So our voices are perfect together, I think.
Here's Flo on The Firestorm, another track from their EP.
Then I found a girl, her heart was warm and kind. Had I started hurting all the things that I had done. We packed up our things, we loaded an old pickup truck, and drove it to the mountains, heading north. I had to light the fire, had to make it burn, I had to make it grow the firestorm. I couldn't keep my hands off these matches, but I no longer make it grow the firestorm. I had to light the fire, had to make it
The influence
burn,
of Johnny Cash is clear, and Flo is often described in the media as the Swiss Johnny Cash. And although he doesn't market himself as that, he says he's absolutely honoured. Of course, Johnny Cash recorded several hit duets with his wife, June Carter Cash, such as It Ain't Me Babe and Jackson. I asked Flo how one knows when two voices are perfectly matched.
I think, you're hitting the very core of what makes music such a special thing to us and to all the people who get inspired by music, because it's this magical kind of component that you cannot explain rationally. So if two people start singing together and something matches perfectly, simply strikes you. You simply feel this is right. It's somewhat like love, you can't explain it, but it flows through you and you see, well, that's what I've been waiting for to do for all my life. I think that's what the experience that we had back then. And of course, you can explain this with musical theory. We have a similar level of tone that match in a way, but I think it's also about personality. you need to match with the person also on a different level, so you can play music that well as we can.
In my head, a lot of country music seems to be slightly melancholic, depressive. Somebody's been left, somebody's been dumped by a lover, somebody's been divorced, somebody's love hurts, stuff like this. What is it? Somebody said it's 3 chords and the truth. Isn't that what country music is?
I think that's a good saying, 3 chords, because country music usually works with 3 chords, and that what makes it so lovely, because you can combine 3 chords with words in such versatile ways. You can convey that many different feelings with it. That's what makes country music so special, And as you said before, it's always about people getting left by somebody. And there's a saying in country music that if a truck driver wrote a song, he would be writing a song about his truck leaving him. So I think there's something... there's a certain truth in what you say.
Do you find it easier to write ballads, or is there a certain type of song that you like writing and find it easier to write more than others?
I think from a commercial standpoint, one should be writing some happy songs and some fast songs with a good beat, good rhythm, but I usually find it easier to express more melancholic feelings. So you usually have a lot of flat notes in it. And because these songs go deeper, and that usually expresses my feelings better.
By day, you are a lawyer, right?
True.
Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues. You ever thought about doing a concert in Hindelbank or Champ de Long Prison in Switzerland?
That's actually a pretty striking idea, We've never tried it out before, but it might be something we should do next year. Very inspiring, yeah. But it takes a little courage, It takes courage.
While Flo and Jesse have yet to play at a Swiss prison, they've played many times at the Albisgütli International Country Music Festival in Zurich. This lasts for around 6 weeks every year and is the longest such festival in the world. Founded in 1985, it attracts more than 20,000 people who come to listen to around 50 world-class bands from the US, Canada and Switzerland.
I think it's one of the very unique venues in Switzerland because it truly conveys the country music spirit very well. And it's sort of the Swiss Grand Ole Opry. It has this sort of classic elegance about it. It's not just one of these festivals way out in the countryside, but it's sort of more urban. And it's fascinating to play there because you've got that many people in one room. There's a large audience. It's about 700 to 800 people one evening, and you usually get to play before very famous US country acts. So it's always a great honor to be there and a great pleasure to play.
So the Swiss obviously love country music. Where does this connection between Switzerland and country music come from?
Well, I think it's a question of lifestyle. The Swiss, they like freedom. They like liberty, and that's just something that the Americans love as well, so the large countryside. And I think the American way of life, especially in the countryside, is something that inspires a lot of Swiss people because we're sort of very limited in space here. So we have small cities and lots of villages, but little free space, right? And so it's this dream that many people have about going out, riding on a highway, listening to this music that sort of conveys this freedom. I think that's the connection.
Well, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose, as they say.
Absolutely. You're one.
Well, and another connection that's just come to me is the yodeling, because in country music there is a sort of history of yodeling, right? I mean, going back to, I don't know, Slim Whitman, people like that, the old days, there's yodeling, right? Why?
Well, I
do you yodel?
I can... No, absolutely not. I'm not talented at yodeling, and what I must say, I've never tried it out, But
I'm not making this up. There is yodeling, right, in country.
Well, kind of, sort of. Let's put it that way. I think it's more in the old country music. You get that a lot. It's a very special style of singing that I don't practice myself, but I think it goes into more kind of bluegrass style as well, where you find this kind of singing. And it's a funny, as you say, it's a funny coincidence, and I think that sort of underlines my theory that that we have people in large spaces, right, or in mountains. It's sort of, you always have the echo. When you yodel, you get these most beautiful echoes. And perhaps some people in the Rocky Mountains had the same experience as we had in the Alps. So,
Jessie, you yodel?
No.
Never?
Never ever. I'm sorry. No.
So, 2 years after meeting in the middle of the Med, Flo and Jessie have finished their first album. Flo explains what it means.
It's called Flo and Jessie, I've Gone My Way. 6 original songs that we wrote over the last 2 years. And we've played so many shows over the last 2 years so that it took quite a while to finish the recordings. And we're very happy to release these on 4th of April, finally. It's sort of a circle that is now coming complete. And it sort of, lines up the story, our own. I think it's many of the stories that we've lived through over these last 2 years that are expressed on this CD that's going to come out.
Over the years, as you say, you've given many concerts. I'm guessing you've built up a fan base. Is that true?
That is true, yes. And we have quite a few people who accompany us to many of our shows, especially country festivals. And that has also created some special personal bonds because the country music scene is a rather small scene, but a very, very vivid scene, a very enthusiastic scene. And so we built up great friendships over the years, and it's very nice to see people react to our music and also the new records that we bring out from time to time.
And for the longer-term future, do you have any plans, 5-10 years? Could you imagine moving to America, move to Nashville?
That's far in the future, of course, but it's always about the priorities you have in life, right? And I think in Switzerland, we've got a rather strong market position because there's not that many young country bands. So we get gigs rather easily. We play a lot of shows and we're rather special, just also because we are very young compared to the other country bands around. And if you move to Nashville, I suppose you're going to have a lot more competition. It's going to be a lot harder. And you'd have to focus on music alone. So that would be quite a change in my personal lifestyle because my day job is an attorney at law. So would be quite a change. But I'm really open to almost anything that could evolve. And after Nashville this autumn, let's see.
Here is I've Gone My Way, the title track from the new EP by Flo and Jessie.
I've lived my life, I've tread every step, I've cared for the ones that I love. I've gone my way when I couldn't stay, left it all behind. And I feel the pain, that unfamiliar stain, got nothing more to claim. When I'm sitting on the horizon, looking for the rainbow, valleys lying right in front of me. And I'm climbing every mountain, looking for the cause. Rainbow, bring peace back to me.
That was Thomas Stevens speaking to Flo and Jessie, a Swiss country music duo based in Zurich. Visit us at swissinfo.ch to see pictures of them and to learn more about their story, as well as those of other artists based in Switzerland. Next time on The Swiss Connection, we'll continue this musical mini-series and meet a jazz singer who grew up on a Swiss farm before launching her career on the other side of the Atlantic. We produce this podcast every few weeks. The topics vary, but it's always an interesting story about people with some sort of a Swiss connection. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook to find out about the next one, or better yet, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening, and thank you to studio technician Donnie Wheeler. Signing off for all of us here, I'm Susan Masika.
Sometimes I wonder, the sun, why must it burn all the snow? Oh, why must leaves fly in the wind? Why must our hope fall in the storm? In the storm. When I'm sitting on the horizon, looking for the rainbow, the valleys lie right in front of me. And I'm climbing every mountain, looking for the cause. The rainbow, bring peace back to me. Well, I'm sitting on the horizon, looking for the rainbow. The valleys lie right in front of me. And I'm climbing every mountain, and I'm looking for the cause. The rainbow, bringing peace back to me. When I'm sitting on the horizon, looking for the rainbow, the valley's lying right in front of me. And I'm climbing every mountain, and I'm looking for the cause. The rainbow brings peace back to me. The rainbow brings peace back to me.
Do you want to polish your knowledge about Swiss elections, referendums and political parties, while at the same time learning more about the quirks of the political system in Switzerland? If that's the case, our newsletter course is just what you need. Each week for a month, we'll send you a free installment explaining the most important details of how Swiss democracy works. Our course teaches you who is eligible to vote in Switzerland, what the different parties stand for, how election and popular vote results are implemented, and what distinguishes Swiss democracy from other political systems. Our crash course is interactive, like democracy itself. Your questions will be answered on an FAQ page, and you can debate with other users and share your inputs and opinions. We will also provide links to multimedia articles and videos to help you better understand the Swiss democratic system. Please join us and sign up for the free Democracy Crash Course newsletter at www.swissinfo.ch/democracy. That's www.swissinfo.ch/democracy.